guys, so we are in my garage again. Just kind of wanted to show off some of the Jade, hopefully Jade samples that I collected this weekend. I didn't shoot the actual hike itself. It was just miserable, rainy, cold weather, and we all got soaked. But I kind of just wanted to show things that we looked at. So this is the biggest piece that I found. Actually, this is what one of the other folks found and said, hey, take this with you and see if you can cut it up and see if it looks like jade. So you can see it's got some good translucence to it. So sorry I didn't get any shots of actually what I hiked out with, but this is all that I wanted to put in my backpack anyway. So some of this actually has some good translucence to it, showing some greens. So there are a couple ways to test Washington Jade. One is to actually scratch it, but as you can see, you know, the husks on these are typically white like this, so it's really difficult to find out whether it's got a hardness like jade. So the next step is to measure specific gravity. So that's what I'm gonna show you guys next, so hold tight. Okay guys, so we're back in my kitchen now where we're gonna do a little bit of science here. All right, so we're gonna measure the specific gravity of this rock, which is basically comparing the density of the rock to the density of water. So it's a unitless measurement. All it is basically taking the dry weight of the rock on a scale, and then we're actually going to take a bucket of water and we'll zero it out and then suspend the rock in water and get a relative wet weight of it. And the specific gravity is basically just the dry weight divided by this wet weight that we get. So I've got a scale here, zeroed out. This is the way I'm going to suspend it. I got my rock with a little bit of packing tape on it. Packing tape doesn't hardly weigh anything. So 1536 is what we are reading for the dry weight. So we will put dry weight right here, 1536 grams. It's not writing very well. All right. And then I got my cheesy little ice cream bucket of water here. And y'all aren't going to be able to see this very well, but I'm going to zero this out. So zero tear. And then I'm going to float this rock in here. So we're going to float this rock and hope it doesn't touch the bottom before I can get a weight on it. All right, there it's fully submerged. And I'm reading, let's take an average of about 515, I think. 514, 515 on here. It's all over the place. Maybe 510. All right, so leave it in there and put 510 on here. 510 grams. So we're basically going to say the density is 1536 grams divided by 510 grams. Boy, this is not writing very well. All right, so I had to get a calculator since it's on my phone. And this specific gravity measures out to 3.01, so within the range of jade, so probably worth slabbing. Okay, so I forgot to mention that the specific gravity for Washington Jade is a range of 2.9 to 3.1. So anything within that range has a good chance of being jade. Serpentine, on the other hand, which is somewhat similar, has a lower specific gravity, so it's 2.2 to 2.9, and it's a softer rock too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through all of the rocks and weigh them and get the specific gravities, and then based on that is how I will determine which rocks I'm going to actually cut and slab. And then after I slab them, I'll do a scratch test on them. I don't have any Mohs test picks to test actual hardness, so I'm going to use just a pocket knife and scratch them, and hopefully I get some hard ones that indicates that it's jade, and the softer ones will be the serpentine. So I'm going to go through, like I said, all the specific gravities, and I'll start slabbing them and show you guys what I get when I cut them. See you shortly. It's a little bit of a weird setup, but I've got it set on the flat side. So I'm going to take a big chunk of this end off and see how it goes. Starting to wrap. The first cut is done. Let's see what we got. Whew, this rock is warm. Clamped another one in here. So this is a really weird one shape-wise. So it's sitting on a fairly wide flat part, but there's another flat part that's completely 90 degrees to it. So we're gonna see how this cuts, if it'll stay in place. Here we go. All right, here we go with the second rock. Possible. Need to put a light on it after I clean the oil off. Let's see what this looks like. All right, let's see. Okay, rock number 3. So this one is a little bit light. It had a specific gravity of right at 2.9. So this may be more serpentine. Man, this third rock cut super fast. So, thought it would be fractured, but it's not. Sorry, trying to get to focus. I don't know, this is a weird one. It's probably like the second rock, more serpentine. I need to dry it off and let's see. Okay, last one for the day. This one has a specific gravity of about 2.95. So here we go. It's a nice flat rock. Hopefully it's a quick cut. Okay, here's the end cut of the last rock. So far. It's a good cut. All right, let's try and make a slab. Okay, different day, and cutting my 5th piece of hopefully jade from my weekend hike. Here we go. Just cut a small end off. Looks nice. So let's see what the slab looks like. Okay, here's my 6th piece. This one was a all white one, so its density is just, specific gravity is just on the edge, man. And oh, the piece is down here. Let me see if I can grab it. Ugh. Definitely an interesting color. Let's see what this looks like. Let me clean it off and see if I want to get a slab off of this. Very interesting. Okay, so I thought it might be cool to talk a little bit about my findings from the rocks that I brought back from the hike over this weekend. So I think I brought back like something like 11 or 12 rocks, and based on the specific gravities that I measured, showing you guys how I did that, I actually cut 8 rocks. And so these are the 8 rocks with the specific gravities. So the 2 pink ones are the ones that came out just below 2.9. So I told you the specific gravity for Jade in Washington State is sometimes in the range of 2.9 to 3.1. Sometimes it's a little bit higher than that. So anything that is 2.9 or less has a chance of being more serpentine than Jade. It's still a pretty rock, but it's just not as hard as Jade. I think the specific gravity for serpentine is like 2.2 to 2.9. So that 2.9 is just, on the edge of both of them. So I went ahead and cut them, and these were the results. So I cut 8 of them, and then after cutting them, I took a metal knife, basically, which hopefully has like around a 6 to 6.5 Mohs hardness, typically what a steel knife has. And I did a scratch test on all of these because I knew that the Jade would at least leave a very minimal mark, if not just a gray mark with the metal being left on the surface, while serpentines are much softer. There's something I think in the less than 5 range, and so they would easily be scratched. So a couple of these, and actually it's the 2 ones that had the specific gravities that were just on the edge, were the ones that easily scratched. So you can see they scratched. I can actually feel them with my fingernail, and this one scratched as well. So some of these are pretty, but they scratch. The rest of these all basically my knife just slid off of them, so they were much harder rocks. So I suspect the rest of them, so out of these 8, 6 of them have a good chance of being Jade. And I just thought that it would be cool to kind of show what the textures look like. So this was the first one that was around a 3, and that's what the translucence looks like. It's just beautiful. And actually this one has the best translucence, when you actually look at it from the other side. So look at that. That's just absolutely beautiful. So that's the first rock I cut in the video, and it's going to be a really nice, it'll make some really nice labs and jewelry pieces. So this is the second one that had like a really marbled texture to it. I actually kind of like it. And this one also was very hard. I could not make any kind of scratch on this whatsoever with a knife. It has some really good translucence, but it is not as transparent as the first one. It is transparent, as you can see. So it's transparent. It's just not as transparent as the first one. And here is the what I think is serpentine. And serpentine, like I said, can still be beautiful. It actually has a really nice texture to it. It has some translucence, not as good as the first 2, and it's definitely not transparent, so you can't even see that. But still a really nice texture that I may still try and make something with that. This I think is a really, hitting the camera, a really pretty piece as well. This one was hard, could not make any kind of dent, any kind of scratch at all with it. It has a nice texture to it. It has really nice translucence, shows through really well, so probably almost as good as the first piece. And then we get to, I have a couple that are really dark. So this is a really dark texture. Pretty. It does have some, you can see it's got some texture in there. Could not scratch it. Not quite as green, and not as transparent, but it is transparent. This one was really cool. So this is the one that I thought had a stripey, but it was really just the fact that the saw was moving when it was cutting it. The rock was moving when it was cutting it. But this one I suspect is Vesuvianite. So look how green this is, but it's got, you know, all these natural like browns and black spots in it. So this one I could not scratch at all either with my knife. So it's hard like jade, but it just doesn't look like jade. It has a different look to it, which I almost think it's Vesuvianite. This one I did not slab, but I suspect because it scratches very easily that it is serpentine. It has really nice color to it, but it didn't have a whole lot of texture to it. So this was rather unimpressive. And then this one with a 2.93, this is almost like black. I almost think these are like some form of black jade. They're very dark, very, very dark. And this one actually has very little texture to it, but still very green as well. Could not make any kind of dent. And this one, though, has almost no light coming through it. But when you put it on the edge, you know, you can kind of see it shining like right there through the edge. So I still think this might be some form of jade. It's just like a very dark, dense black jade. All right, so that concludes my jade expedition from last weekend, and I will definitely probably take some of these slabs and make some nice cabochons with it of some sort and electroform them. So maybe I'll show that in a later one. So hope you guys like the video. Sorry it's a little long. Thanks.